So the int list we built so far can technically do all the list stuff you might want to do, but it's a little awkward to use, as we can see from this syntax. Now in this case, building a list, while it's a little awkward, isn't so bad. We'll find that things like getting the ith element from the list or asking for the size of this list are going to be quite annoying to do. So to deal with this, what we're going to do is add a size method and an iterative size method that are going to behave kind of like the length method in Python. So in Python, we might do something like print ling of L, and we expect it to say 3. There are 3 items in the list. So what we're going to do right now is write a method for IntList that takes care of that for us so that we can ask, for example, what is the size of our list? Okay. So we could technically write a loop here or do whatever to get the size of the loop, but what I want to do instead is write a method to make it easier for the user, because it certainly shouldn't be the case that someone should have to loop over a data structure in order to get its size. It should be easy for the person using the list. So what I'm going to encourage you to do at this point is you should consider writing the size method or thinking about how it's going to be written. And I'm going to make a note here, which is that this method is going to return the size of the list using recursion. Okay. So if you are a little rusty on this, this is great practice. You can think, what should this method maybe look like? So pause the video maybe, but I'll go through it now. So hopefully you're pretty familiar with recursion, you're comfortable with it to some degree. And if not, bummer that your prerequisites aren't great, but you'll catch up. I don't know what this gesture was that I just did. That was like a sad face gesture, but didn't really commit to it, I guess. Anyway, so in a recursive method, what we always need is a base case, correct? So what we're gonna do is think about what the base case might be. Okay? So what is the type of list where we know the size? Well, it's going to be one where we can say the rest is null. If the rest is null, that means we have a first value and nothing else, in which case we should return what? 1. So if we have a list that only has one thing, then the rest will be null and we'll return 1. Now, if that's not the case, then what? Well, in that case, we know that it's going to be 1 plus however big the rest of the list is, and we can get that by just asking for this.rest.size. So I'm going to ask my rest, like, it's also an int list, what size are you? And assuming the list is well formed, we'll eventually get to this base case and we'll get a nice answer. Now, it may be the case that you're not super comfortable with recursion, in which case I'm going to run this thing through the visualizer. And if you're already feeling pretty comfortable with this, this might be a little boring, but let's check it out and see how it goes. First of all, let's just click last and make sure we get the right answer. And so indeed we do. We get 3, which means that printed out correctly. So let's run through it step by step. After the int lists are all created, we finally get to the point where we're going to ask for the size. So we say to L, hey, what size are you? So L takes over, and now L is this, and thinks, okay, is my rest null? No. Okay, so what I should do then is I should ask my buddy right here what its size is, and I'll add 1 to that. So I go over here, and this is my middle list, and it says, okay, yeah, now I'm the active list, so is my rest null? No. So I'm going to return 1 plus my buddy's size. Finally, we get to this last list. It's the active list, and that list says, yes, okay, you know what? Rest is null. I'm a tiny list. I have no successors. There's no rest, so my size is just 1. So I'm going to tell the world. I'm going to shout it onto the rooftops, whoever who is asking. My return value is 1. Okay, great. Your return value is 1, so if my sublist is size 1, then my size must be 2. Okay, so I return 2. Finally, we get back to this list, and it has reported that its rest is size 2. Now, if my rest is size 2, and I'm only 1 additional value, I'm going to add 1 to that, and I will finally return 3. And that's the whole story.